Alright, what is going on, my dudes? We are back here today with another Hulkbuster beta server rank up video. And this time, we're going to be taking a very quirky champion up to rank 3. Not rank 2 this time, we're going right up to rank 3. We are using that science catalyst that I pulled from the abyss that I still don't have a real use for, and we're going to be having some fun with it today. Now, we're going to be bringing up a very quirky champion to rank 3, and that is Electro. And I'm sure you know that by now if you're either watching the video of that guy right there or over there, or you saw the thumbnail or the title of the video and that's what made you click on it. But we're doing Electro today, and I'll tell you what, man, Electro is not the best champion in the game, not by a long shot. However, there is one fight in this game that I do personally believe Electro is the #1 best option for, and that is one of the hardest fights in the entire game, and that is the final boss of Variant 1, the Ultron in 3.3. Now that Ultron, he has EMP modification, he has Limber, and he has a bunch of other nodes on him as well, and what makes him so hard is that you have to fight that Ultron with the shock immune champion that's either of the science class or the cosmic class. Now, Electro isn't necessarily shock immune, but he takes no damage from all shock effects. In fact, the more shocks that Electro has on him, the harder he hits. So that's why he's so good for that fight. Now, some of the shock immune champions that you might think of, you might right off the bat think Corvus. Well, Corvus is immune to all of the damage from shock debuffs. He's not immune to passive shock from EMP, so he's kind of out. The node also has fisticuffs, so we can't really use Corvus in the first place there. Thing is a great champion for this fight. However, Thing wasn't around at the release of Variant 1. Terrax is also a great option, believe it or not, okay? He's a shock immune cosmic champion, but just like Thing, Terrax wasn't around for that fight. So we're going to be jumping into this fight today with Electro. We're going to see how he does, and I have some pretty high hopes for Electro in this fight. Alright, so before we actually jump into the fight itself, let's go over what it really is. So it has Limber, it has Force of Will, so Ultron can't be affected by ability accuracy reduction. It has Fisticuffs, so neither champion can activate buffs or debuffs for the first 10 seconds of the fight. That's what really rules out Corvus there. And then we have EMP modification. That's the big boy, alright? Now EMP modification, that's whenever the attacker gains a buff, the defender gains an overclock charge. Now, I'm just gonna go right to the beef of it. What it really does is that when the defender activates a special attack, he puts a giant passive shock on you equal to the amount of overclock charges that the defender had. Alright, so what makes Electro so good for that? Well, let's look at his abilities here. Electro takes no damage from shock effects, and each shock grants Electro plus 640 attack and plus 15% static shock damage. Well, if we stack about 7, 8, 9 of those passive shocks, well, that seems like a pretty beefy attack bonus. Well, let's see what that actually looks like in the fight. So like I said, it's gonna start off with the fisticuffs, alright? So we saw that dexterity was proccing, but we didn't actually get the buff yet, so none of those overclock things on Ultron came up yet. But now that fisticuffs is gone, well, now we can start racking up those dexterity buffs, okay? Start off with a little combo here. As you can see, we're not hitting too hard at all. I do have suicides on, but you don't see them because of the fisticuffs. So, right off the bat, we now have 2 of our passive shocks, and as you can see, we're starting to hit a little bit harder. It's still nothing too impressive, but we're starting to get there. Now we have 4 passive shocks. We're on an 8k medium, a 6k light attack. That's starting to look pretty good there, you know? It's starting to look like some 6-star rank 3 numbers, you know? Now, one thing that does suck here is that all of Electro's special attacks, a special 1 and a special 2, they are energy based. So what that's going to do is that's just going to heal Ultron. So that's something that we do have to deal with, so I won't be throwing too many specials attack. Another thing that's really annoying is that Ultron loves to evade when you really don't want him to. And when there is Limber, we can't just hit him when he's stunned to avoid that. So we do have to be mindful of that. Now, I don't know if this is a bug or not, but it's been around for a very, very long time, but it is working in our favor right now. When you get the dexterity buff, and then you lose the dexterity buff by hitting the opponent, that counts as 2 buffs. So like normally that doesn't matter ever, but in this exact situation with EMP modification, it actually is really detrimental to the player unless you're using Electro. So for right now, we're just going to go ahead and enjoy it. As you can see, our special attacks are hitting pretty hard. We have, now we have 6 of those passive shocks on us, so we're hitting pretty okay, and this fight is like pretty mindless. All we have to do is just really be mindful of those evades on Ultron, and as long as we're paying attention, well, we're going to be good to go. We just bait out his special one, we get our dexterity buff, we lose it, we get some of those overclock charges on Ultron, we rack up those passive shocks, and we do some big damage, man. You know, it's cool to see Electro hit pretty hard. You know, because like normally, Electro hits absolutely terribly. His numbers are just atrocious. Here, with 9 passive shocks, we're doing 8k light attacks. That's not bad, man. Now we have, I think we had 8 shocks going into the special 3, and we went from 14% down to 10%. No, I think we went 18%. Started 18% to 10%. So we went down 8%. Now usually the special 3 that would shock the, it would stun the opponent, but Limber is completely run dry at this point. Here we're doing 10k mediums. We are ending with 10k mediums against this guy. If you're in a situation where you find yourself with shock on you, Electro is probably going to be one of the better answers in the fight. So that's something that I find really cool with Electro, and that fight was the main reason why I wanted to take him up. Now, if my Electro was duped, as you can see, his crit rating would go up by about 2,000 at Mcoc, and that's something that would have made that fight go a lot faster. I probably could have gotten it down in about 80 to 90 hits if there were a lot more crits, but so that was that fight. Alright, now let's go into some more newer endgame content here. Here we're going to go into 6.3.6, and this is the quest where I usually go for the Thunderstruck, but we're not going to do Thunderstruck this time. This time we're going to go for that Scarlet Witch, and this one also has the EMP modification. So the node where we have the overclock charges and the passive stuns, well, we're going to do it again with Electro, and it also has Acid Wash and Toxi-can't, so this is the one where you hit the opponent, you put the poison on them, and then you only do damage when they have the poison on them because of the Acid Wash. But here what I'm going to do is I just want to try and bank as many of those dexterity buffs as I can before she gets to her first special attack. So here, she already has 9 of those overclock charges, up to 10 now. Now here I feel good about just pushing her over a bar of power and banking in those 10 charges because that is the max. So here she's going to throw off her special one, and I'm going to get 10 passive shocks on me. So now let's see how we hit. Now we're hitting kind of okay, man. That's an 8k medium, 6k light attack. It's a pretty decent special too. We have 12 passive shocks on us now. We're not taking any damage from it. All it's doing is just really raising our damage through the roof here. We're completely unboosted, throwing off 10k mediums. I wasn't really playing too mindful here. I was just kind of haphazardly going in here. That was a 40,000 special 2, man. 40k special 2. I went for the special one, see if I can get the stun. It didn't stun, and she did kill us with the special 3, but that's totally okay, man, because we weren't like going for anything special there. We just wanted to see if we could nuke her down, and he nuked her down pretty good, man. Alright, so now that I've shown you Electro in his natural habitat, where he likes to hang out with all of those shock debuffs on him, I'm going to show you how he does in a normal fight against Winter Soldier as well. So, now don't get me wrong here, okay? I'm not in any rush to take my Electro up to rank 3 on the live servers. However, he did kind of impress me here a little bit. Now, the signature ability on Electro is very nice to have because so many of your hits are going to be critical, alright? So you're going to be seeing a lot more of those big yellow numbers. Now the thing with an unduped Electro is that you'll go through so many combos just not critting, okay? So right there though, right there, we just had a 41k special 2. 2 against Winter Soldier. Now, Electro is one of those older characters, kind of like OG Thor, Thor Jane Foster, Black Bolt, where if you get good RNG, you can kind of stunlock Winter Soldier in the corner, where that kind of playstyle isn't necessarily practical for like real content, but it makes Winter Soldier fights a breeze. So we're just being very aggressive with him. We just had an 11k heavy attack because they both crit. That's not too bad. As you can see right there, that's a perfect example of why you really want that SIG ability, because that special 2, when it doesn't crit and it just does 12k from a rank 3 6-star, that's really not what we want to see. We want to see that beefy 40k special 2, man. Like that kind of made my eyes widen a little bit. You know, that really impressed me seeing that. I never expected to see a special 2 like that. Now, don't get me wrong, man. I mean, you know, Corvus Glaive, Captain Marvel movie, Nick Fury, Ghost, all of those guys. Oh, look at that 47k special 2. Well, you know, all those guys that I just mentioned, they have, you know, much quicker Winter Soldier takedowns, even as 5-star, rank 5. But, you know, Electro is just one of those older champions that's just very neglected, and he just killed off Winter Soldier in 130 hits. Granted, as a 6-star rank 3, and he probably should have done it a little faster and been even a little more impressive at that, but it is Electro, man, and I gotta tell you, he did actually exceed my expectations in this rank up video, and like I said, I'm not going to be doing it on the live servers. Don't have a heart attack there, but I'm really glad I did do it on the Hulkbuster beta servers just to see what he was capable of. Alright, my dudes, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do me a favor and leave a like, comment if you're planning on bringing your Electro up to rank 3, and subscribe if you want to see some more super fun rank up videos coming to you very soon. I'll be seeing you around.